wasn't supposed to be recording a podcast today, but then this is the view at our campsite. And this is the ocean. So I'm rolling with the no makeup, star on my face, coffee on my sweatshirt, and we're just gonna make it happen today. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Nitty Natty. Welcome to episode 248 of the Love and Stitches podcast. Today I am in Bar Harbor, Maine. You know what? I forgot to look up before I started this, but I believe Maine is our 47th state. Hold on. I keep a note on my phone with like all of our different travel statistics, how many yarn stores we've been to, how many states we've been to, how many places that we've slept. It is getting to be really high numbers for just about everything. So yes, Maine is our 47th state. Just wild. After this, we have New Hampshire, Vermont, and then ironically, our last state is actually New Jersey. Even though we have been there, I just forgot to count it before. So really, I should just change the numbers and say, this is our 48th state. New Hampshire and Vermont are 49 and 50, and then we're done. And honestly, I probably should just say that. Like, we've been to New Jersey on this trip. We've been to New Jersey a million times before, but we have not filmed in New Jersey yet. Now, even though we're almost done with our 50 states journey as far as personally visiting different states, we still have a few more states to go to film in. We're filming in Maine this week, then in New Hampshire, then in Vermont, and then we're filming at Rhinebeck in New York. But then hopefully after that, we're going to film in New Jersey. We're also going to be filming in New York City again, in Brooklyn. I'll be sharing more about that later on. And then we have Ohio and South Carolina. And then we will be officially done with our 50 states journey, which is unbelievable. Just so wild that is happening. So this episode, I have a few new things. Wait, do I have new things? Yes, I have a new project that I've cast on. I've already talked about it. It's my blanket. I have a finished object, which I'm really excited to show you, but let me talk about what I'm wearing really quickly. So this is the Manhattan hat by Tori Yu. I used one skein of DK weight yarn. I think the pattern is written for worsted weight, but it worked out perfectly in DK. I love the super bright color. It's great for like a really fun kind of, one skein that you have in your stash. I made this earlier this year, I think, and it's a little bit less warm than my Musselburgh hats, which are like the double layer ones. So it's perfect for a day like today when it is 63 degrees. I'm actually a little toasty right now, but I needed to cover up my hair. So this is working out great. And it really goes along with my traveler because I've got the pink little strings on it. It's a different yarn, but very similar in color. And then this is the traveler, the hoodie version by Andrea Mowry. All right, let's get into the projects. I just spilled coffee on myself again. I think it's a lid, so I'm taking it off. And it's just starting to rain. So hopefully it will hold off, because the whole reason I wanted to record this today instead of tomorrow morning is that it's supposed to rain all day tomorrow. So please rain, hold off. It's just stunningly beautiful outside. I don't know if you can really see the water back here. Yeah, you kind of can. It's amazing. And this tree, although I don't have it quite high up enough for you to see it, it is like the most beautiful, stunning, starting to turn like red. Oh man, okay, come back down. It's so cool. Everything here has just been so beautiful. Hold on, you need to see more of that tree. Everything here has just been so beautiful. It's been wonderful to be in Maine. First up, I have a finished object. I just finished this like moments ago. I did the last few decreases, tied it all off, and I haven't even tried it on yet. We're gonna try it on together. I was planning to finish this tonight, but then when I realized just how great it was here, I'm like, okay, gotta get a podcast going. So I finished it really quickly, and now we get to experience the end of a project together, which is like so fun, right? Obviously, I haven't blocked this or anything yet. One of the reasons we're at this campsite today is we have been without water for a full day, which is challenging. I've got a lot of dishes to do, but I usually don't get to block things in the van because water is so precious. We want to save it for washing dishes, flushing our toilet, drinking and stuff. So I don't know if I will be blocking this right away. I might wait. I am going to be staying with some friends of family this weekend. So I'll probably wait until then and just, use water and a sink in their home. I think that'll be a lot easier. So before I try it on, I just want to sum up this project. So every time I make a Musselburgh hat, this is a pattern by Isolde Teague. I feel like I'm going to spill that now. This is a pattern by Isolde Teague that I have made many, many times, probably 10 times at this point. But every time I make it, I do something slightly different. So the special and different thing about this one is I used a very special yarn. So this darker color, you can see it's got a little bit of fuzz to it. This is a Qiviut yarn. Actually, I keep saying that wrong. I believe it's Qiviut. If you watched last week's episode at Cabin Fever Yarns, or Cabin Fever in Anchorage, Alaska, they dye this yarn, and the person who was giving us a tour kept saying Qiviut, and I just kept not hearing that in the video. When I was watching it back, when we edited it, I was like, how did I not hear that? So I believe it's actually Qiviut, and I've been saying it wrong the whole time. So there we go, always learning. But it is muskox, and it is extremely lightweight and extremely soft. I've had the most pleasure working on this project and letting people pass it around the yarn stores that we've been to and just feel it, because it is so luxurious. You can't really feel it as much when it's in the skein. Like, it's still really soft, but when it gets knitted up, I mean, it is just so yummy. And then this yarn is a yak, merino, and nylon blend, also from Alaska, from a person that has their own shop. Hold on. Polychrome Fibers. And Polychrome Fibers is a summer shop in the, just outside of Denali National Park. I can't remember what town it's in. Hold on, can you see that? Polychrome Fibers. So 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, and 10% nylon. So it's been very delicious and yummy to work with as well. The colors go together really beautifully. You can just see, I think, that there's like this pink running throughout, like the whole thing is pink, but then there's like a more pink color that kind of runs throughout it that looks very similar to this, which has been lovely. Normally when I make a Musselburgh hat for myself, I have certain measurements that I do for each section. So with this one, I am aiming for a longer hat, like slouchy. I also wanted it to have a brim that would fold up. And I shared last week that I totally forgot that I would need an additional 6 inches of knitting in order to do this brim. So I was planning to finish this by October 1st, and I finished it today, October 4th, and that's totally fine. At least it's done. I actually ended up adding a whole nother inch to this. So normally in between the crown, so where you stop increasing and start decreasing, I have 19 inches for my hats. This time I did 20 inches because what I realized when I laid everything down to measure it is it looked like my section of the Qiviut was about the same as my section for the yak, and I wasn't gonna have as much brim as I wanted to. What I was aiming for is for the Qiviut to be slightly shorter so that it wouldn't show at all, like when I fold up the hat. And so I decided, you know what, let me just add an extra inch. So I've actually got about 20 inches here in between these two crowns, and we'll see what happens when I block it. It might get a little wider and a little shorter, but all in all, I figured I would be happier with a little extra rather than to have to rip it back later or something. I don't know. I just figured that would look nicer. So it's time for the moment of truth. Although wait, we can kind of test it out here by folding things in half. So you can see this is obviously shorter, but that's because this is going to fold up and be a brim. So that will fold up on one side of the hat. So this all right here is all brim, but my hope is that I can get it to fold here maybe? We're gonna have to see. And sometimes it takes wearing these hats for a little bit for them to really settle into how they're naturally going to be. So I'm gonna tuck this inside. The Qiviut is only for the lining. I'm never planning to wear the hat the other way. So I like to kind of flip it around both ways, kind of get it to relax a little bit. Oh God, this is gonna be so soft and warm. Okay, so if I fold up this brim, let's see. Let's see, let me put it on. I couldn't let you see my hair, but oh my goodness. I think, hold on, I can probably get it down a little further. Where's the Qiviut? Okay, yeah, I think this is gonna be fine. I'm actually really happy I did that extra inch. How does it look? Got a little bit of slouch, it will relax more. It won't be as pointy when I block it. I've got a nice thick brim, which I love because then I have 4 layers of fabric on my ears. This is an incredibly warm hat, aside from me also putting one of the warmest fibers inside this hat. And then the Qiviut is like just underneath the brim. Oh my gosh, it's like perfect. Oh, I hope it doesn't stretch too much when I block it. That will be a test. Oh, okay. I'm so happy with it. I cannot wait to get it blocked and dried and really try it on. But I don't think I can keep this on right now because it is not that cold outside. So I'm going to switch back into my other hat and let's talk about my next project. Next up, I have finished, okay, for some reason I thought my microphone was gone. I have finished one of my winter magic socks. So this is my new design that is going to be coming out on October 11th. And the yarn is from Coven Collective. And they are going to be selling kits, which will also come out on October 11th. And this is all in collaboration for my make-along that I'm bringing back that we didn't have last year, but we've had. I think I started it in 2020 actually, and it's called Sockmas. And the whole goal of Sockmas is to knit or crochet yourself a pair of socks that you can wear basically in December, anytime, any holiday or no holiday at all. Sockmas is just a cute play on words, but we have a very wintry theme. Our theme this year is winter magic. So the winter magic kits and then the winter magic socks. So I finished up sock number 1. These socks are really fun. I mean, I'm biased, but they're really fun to make. They've got color work with optional beads. I've got a little feature here on the side to make sure the socks fit. And actually we've added more rib. My testers have been like very helpful with the feedback on fit. So we're adding more stitches in here actually. So the next sock I'm going to do will have that updated feature. It also has easy little cables here, which you don't need a cable needle for. It's just a twist stitch. And then texture, really easy texture, a 2-row pattern throughout. So it's so fun. I love it. I love it. So then I have started my second sock. This one I am taking it nice and slow because I am going to be refilming some tutorials for. So excuse me, the twist stitch, I'm going to be filming a tutorial for hopefully today. Sorry, I've changed the focus on my camera a little bit because I don't want anyone in the background to be shown. So I'm trying to keep everyone's privacy. But yeah, so these little twist stitches, I'm going to have a video tutorial on that, as well as the ribbing and placing beads. And then I already have a color work tutorial on my channel that is accessible publicly by anyone. These tutorials will be in the pattern, like part of the pattern when you get it. So very, very excited about that, but they are a little bit slow going in the beginning just because I'm filming the tutorials, and then the color work with the beads is not really something you can just like walk around with, but that's why I like that it's only here on the top. I think it's 18 or 19 rows of color work and then a few other solid rows so you can knit over your ends and like hide them so you don't have to have a bajillion ends. And then the rest of the sock is super easy, take on the go with you. So kind of exactly what I am looking for in a pattern sock. I'm usually a vanilla sock girl, but when I do have a pattern, I want at least like, I don't want all of it to have to be super involved, tie me down to a pattern or anything. So this is kind of the way I like to knit socks, which is why it's the way I like to design socks. So very excited about that. I have Coven Collective's website linked down below. I'm also working on a page on my website where you can go and you can find all the information about Sockmas. So that will be coming very soon. If not, by the time this podcast goes live, you can find information about the make-along, about the kits, and also about the pattern. Last project here. I have started my blanket. So October 1st was a Tuesday. And even though I really wanted to have this like incredible cleared palette of projects so that I could just start all of my Halloween spooky things on October 1st, it didn't really work out that way. I tried really hard. I tried to finish my Musselburgh hat. I was working on another sock project. I was finishing up my design. There was just a lot of different things going on. But on October 1st, I was like, you know, I feel very a little overwhelmed, a little stressed, a lot of different deadlines going on, but I can still carve out an hour in my day to get this blanket project started because I really want to do that. And I felt like if I didn't start it on October 1st, the whole month I would spend feeling behind. So I made it a priority to get started on October 1st. And every day since then, I have been keeping up on it. So I've got 3 days in here so far. And I'm recording this so far in advance that if you have this I keep calling it an advent, this countdown from the Little Wolf Knits, you are so far past this, probably a week past this at this point, but I just want to share a warning that I am going to be showing my Beetlejuice countdown from the Little Wolf Knits. One other warning is I have used the main color in here for my chain, but it's not super obvious what it is because I only used it for the chain. I didn't use it for any actual rows of crocheting. So if you want to look away because you don't want to see the main skein, you're saving it for the end, totally respect that, but I just wanted to share that with you before I start. All right, let me show the blanket and then I'll talk about details and math and all of those things. So here it is. So far, I've got 3 days in here. The first color, day 1, is like this really beautiful greens with reds. Then we go into like a pinky red. Now we're into like blue and like truly pink. I am making this for my husband, Kent, and it's pretty wide. Can't really get it in the shot. You know, it's almost as wide as my arm stretched out. Not quite. It's probably going to be about 5 feet wide. This is the Crochet Advent Baby Blanket. So it is meant to be a smaller blanket. I made one for Toaster, so it's great for a pet blanket. I made one for myself last year during December, and then I am making this one for Kent so that we all have a blanket. And all of ours are slightly different. So the first one that I made for Toaster, I shared a lot more about last week, was all Pokemon colors, 31 colors, and I modified the original pattern to have fewer stitches that I cast on, and then I removed like the main color in between. Then for my blanket, I had 24 colors, a traditional advent. I also modified the cast on number so that I could do 5 rows of each color instead of 4, which is in the pattern. And then this one, I wanted to figure out how I could use as much of the yarn as possible while also making the biggest blanket possible. And I think that I'm going to be doing that, hopefully. So I have gone back to the original stitch count for the pattern. So I chained the original stitch count, which I'm not going to share because this is a paid for pattern. It's an excellent pattern. And then I am working the 4 rows as mentioned, but I am not working the main color row in between. Instead, I'm saving my main color for a border, but I have 30 mini skeins. So my blanket will be a little bit taller than the original blanket. It's also a little bit wider because my gauge is bigger. I'm using a bigger hook. I think it's going really nicely. The only thing I want to note is that I use the main color for the chain because I learned something in my last iteration of this blanket. And that is if you use the first mini skein for the chain, then you typically won't have enough to do the same number of rows for that color as you will for the rest of the blanket. So my last blanket that I did, I started with one of my mini skeins, you know, on December 1st, and I did the chain, and then I was able to do 4 rows. I think it was 4 rows with that color. But then all my other ones, I was able to do 5 rows with because I just didn't have quite enough yarn when I used the first mini skein for the chain. So that's why I cracked into my main color. I chained with it. It is blending in pretty nicely. I will also be doing a border, so I figured that would be fine because when I do the border and I go and I like crochet over all those stitches, you're not going to see them at all. So that's my plan. The other thing you could do is, I don't know if there's another way around it. I think I have about 2 grams left over of each color. But the other great thing actually with doing my chain in a different color is that now I've used almost exactly the same amount of yarn for each of the other colors. None of them are going to be different, you know, because of not using one for the chain. So this is making me really happy. I haven't done today's color yet. Hold on, I have it in here. Here's today's color. It's like a yellowy brown, red. This is going to be a really pretty blanket. I I have a lot of fun. Kent and I like to do like a guessing game together. So I've been telling him the name of the color and then he tries to guess what colors are in the yarn, which can be tricky because the way that Brianna gets inspiration for these is not necessarily like the name, but rather the scene from the movie. So if you go to her Instagram, she's posting daily the different like screen grabs of those scenes with the colors that she pulled from that scene. So it may not be just like immediately what you think of when you think of Beetlejuice, which for me is like black, white, green, and purple. The whole blanket couldn't be that. That would be boring. But instead, it's like, what is this, the name of this one? This one is called Into Town. So it might be like a screen grab of them like driving into town and the fall leaves and all the different things. I haven't seen the movie in a while, so I don't really remember, but it's got everything in it. So if you want to see the inspiration, make sure you're following the little wolf knits because it is very fun. And then I'm loving this bag. Isn't this great? This one is from the Toasty Hen. Brianna collaborated with them for this project. And so far it's fitting my blanket great. And I will continue to use it until my blanket no longer fits in there. Thank you so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. A couple of years ago, I experienced what should have been one of the happiest times of my life, and instead I just felt like I was failing. I had just moved to a new city, I'd quit my teaching job, and I was living out my dream of working for myself in the yarning business. But for some reason, I just was feeling overwhelmed, and I almost couldn't even get myself out of bed every day. I was considering therapy, but since my health insurance doesn't cover mental health, I was really looking for an affordable option that I could also do from home. And that's when I learned about BetterHelp. I remember logging into my first session thinking, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. Like, I don't have anything major really going on. And then the next thing I know, I had blown through 50 minutes and I hadn't even taken a breath. And that's what I really love about therapy, is that it's a safe space to talk about your fears, your relationships without any judgment. I also love that I could just hop onto my computer and into my weekly session from my bed. Therapy helped me put into perspective a lot of things that were going on in my life at that time. And when major changes happen or I start to go back to that place where life feels really grim, I've been able to hop back into therapy for as long as I need. BetterHelp is on a mission to make starting therapy so much easier. You can get going by filling out a questionnaire online, and then you'll be matched with a therapist in just a few days. My first therapist and I clicked really well, and I shared early on with her that I'm a knitter, and she was cool with me bringing my knitting into the sessions, which I really appreciated because having something to work on kept me calm as we talked through my week. But one of the best features about BetterHelp is if your first therapist doesn't feel like the right fit, you can easily switch to another one until you find somebody that you connect with. If you're struggling and you think you'd benefit from a therapy session, you can click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/nittynatty to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. And now back to the episode. We are in Maine right now, but we actually started out the week in Massachusetts in Boston. So earlier this week, I think on Sunday, we went to Boston Fiber Company and we got to interview Sarah, the owner, and take a tour around. It's a great shop. I'm trying to think what the area is called again. I can't remember, but it's like a super artsy district. And on Sundays, every Sunday from like April to October or something, they have the Sowa Market, where there is a huge marketplace set up like one road over, basically, not even a road from the yarn store. So the whole area was just busy with people. There's all these cute little like, what are they called? Kind of like, not a gift shop. That's like not the right word for it, but it's like cute little stores that have all kinds of local things next to it. So it's just like the cutest area in Boston. I mean, we went to lots of areas of Boston. There are so many cute areas, but this was a really cool area. Great place for a yarn shop. And we had a great time. We got to film before the store opened. And then once the store opened, they have a regular Sunday meetup. So we I think we did like an extra one that day so that we could have a little bit of an earlier time. And then more people came in later. They've got a a sitting area, their little like lounge living room in the back of the store. So it was great. I got to meet a bunch of people that I knew through Instagram or just got to meet and introduce myself for the first time, which was just a blast. We had so much fun. Then the next day, we kind of carved out a day to just do touristy things in Boston because we had never been to Boston before. And my friend Jordan was so kind and took us around to a bunch of places. We did a lot of walking. We started out with I'm gonna forget what this is called. Yes, we did the Freedom Trail. There's a lot of history in Massachusetts, and it was really cool to get to walk around and just see a lot of historic buildings. There was like a bunch of graveyards, which is kind of strange. We didn't really go into a lot of them. We just kind of did like the free and quick option. And so we just kind of you follow this, like, it's either a brick line or a red line, and you just follow it. It's on the ground. You just follow it. So we saw the Capitol, and then we continued walking, and we saw, again, several graveyards, lots of churches, lots of different things. And then we met up with Jordan, and Jordan took us around and told us some of the history, which was fun. We got some lunch. We got Italian food. There's a whole district where there was a bunch of Italian restaurants. We went to a cannoli place. I did not know that Boston is known for the cannolis and stuff. And oh my gosh, it was actually really good. I'm not a huge cannoli person. Don't hold it against me, but that's probably the best one that I've had. Better than the ones that I've had in New York. Don't come for me. But it was a ricotta chocolate one, which I had never had before. Really, really liked that. So that was really cool. We ended the day walking by Fenway Park, the baseball stadium. And that's where I got my picture for last week's episode, since I filmed in Boston, but like not downtown, but I wanted to get a Boston-y picture. That just seemed like an appropriate place to go. We then started driving, started making our way north, but we wanted to stop at one last place in Massachusetts, Salem. So Salem is really busy this time of year. We went to Salem on October 1st, and apparently October is just wild. All of the parking on October 1st had changed to resident parking only, and so we had a really difficult time finding somewhere to park. But guess where we found a place? In front of the yarn store. So there's a yarn store in Salem called Circle of Stitches. Super cute shop. By the way, Salem, so cute. So many different shops. So great. If you don't want to go in October, I've heard it's still just as great and not as busy other times of the year. So don't go in October if you don't want crowds. It was crowded. But Circle of Stitches, really great shop. They have their own hand-dyed yarn line called Toil and Trouble, which I should have grabbed the skein that I got. I'll try to take a picture or video of it. But they have, I think the owner dyes that yarn. We did not get to meet the owner that day, but the person working there told us about it. And the color that I got is called Seance, which is just like, come on, it's all just too perfect for visiting Salem. And it's also a really fun color. So I think it'll be great for my blanket. They also had just some other great yarn lines. They had their own color of spin cycle that actually looked a lot of the same colors as the Seance color that I got. So just a really fun, cute store. And then plus, all the different shops around Salem are really neat. But our main purpose for going there is that we got to meet up with one of my Love and Stitches members, Elise. She drove down. She doesn't live too far from Salem, drove down to meet us. We got to sit outside, have coffee. Toaster got to join us. And it was a really lovely time. A good way to break up our driving and errands that we were doing on that day. And then we made it into Maine. Actually, need to go back and look through just the pictures that I've taken here in Maine. So things that I have observed in Maine so far. One, lobsters. There are lobsters everywhere. There are these things called lobster pounds where they have the live lobster and they're cooking them outside, which honestly, for me is a bit uncomfortable, but I know that that's one of the greatest ways to enjoy and appreciate this food. But it is a little bit bizarre as for somebody who doesn't normally see your food alive before you eat it. But I have to say, very fresh and very nice. So we've tried a lobster roll. Kent got just a full lobster. I've had lobster mac and cheese. We're probably lobstered out at this point. We've had a lot of lobster, but this is the place to do it. We also have seen a lot of fall foliage. Again, that's why I wanted to film today, even though I don't think you're getting to appreciate it fully because it's a little bit blown out. But the leaves are really starting to change. I've taken lots of pictures where just like leaves on the ground are just the brightest red that you'll see. So when our other kind of mission for Maine was to go to Acadia, we're in the close by Acadia Park. We've been there the last 2 days, but it is like peak season for Acadia. So the park is super crowded. We were actually able to play like the license plate game. You know, when you're on a road trip and you're looking for license plates from all 50 states. And I think there's only 5 states that we haven't seen yet. So that was pretty cool that like just in the park alone, we were in traffic one day. So we were like looking at all the cars that were parked and we're like, oh my gosh, I think we've seen almost all the states, even Alaska. Like that's kind of wild. So that's been really, really fun. We also got lunch on the water one day. I think we were in Bass Harbor. We've been in Bass Harbor, we've been in Bar Harbor, and then a lot of the different towns, little towns like surrounding Acadia, all really beautiful, amazing to see the water. Yesterday it was really clear and sunny. Today it's extremely foggy, like you almost couldn't really see the water at all, which was wild. So it's been cool to see it 2 different ways. Acadia and also Bar Harbor and the surrounding towns are extremely dog friendly. So it's been nice to be able to take Toaster with us. We actually got to take him on a hike yesterday. We got to take him to have lunch on a patio today. So that's been really amazing. And then the other thing about Maine that I have discovered is blueberry pie. Apparently that is a huge deal. I think blueberries are really great to grow in Maine, apparently. So I've been on my own little blueberry pie adventure, kind of similar to my key lime pie one when we were in the Keys in Florida, where I had like 10 key lime pies. I've had one so far. I got another one today, and there are plans to pick up one more slice of pie on our way out tomorrow. So I do like blueberry pie. It's very good, but I think that it's kind of, I don't know, I like it, but it's almost like too sweet in a way. I think that's what I like about key lime pie, is that there's tartness to it, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. And Kent doesn't like fruit, so he's not helping me. I'm having to eat all the blueberries alone. But that's it, I think. That's what we've done these past few days. It's been absolutely incredible. I'm so thrilled to be in Maine. I feel like that's another state that's just, you know, you're not passing through Maine to go to another state unless you're going to Canada, I guess. But even still, you probably wouldn't do that because everything, well, that's not true. I'm going to stop talking now. Ken's probably going to cut this. He told me last week he cut out something I said that was dumb. Ken always has my back when I say silly geographical things. He cuts them out for me so that you all don't think I don't know my way around. But the truth is, I don't know my way around, and I think that's okay. We've got quite a few things coming up. So first off, this Saturday, we are going to Hawaii. Well, at least on YouTube. We are going to be touring Maui Alpaca. It's the alpaca farm that we went to when we were in Hawaii a couple months ago. And it's a really great tour. I know we've been to alpaca farms before, but there's just something about going to an alpaca farm and getting to meet the people that care for the animals that is just so spectacular. And similar to the place we went in Tennessee, this Maui alpaca, they are so in tune with their animals. Like they're not just livestock. They are not pets either, but like they know them all by name. They're very sweet. They're very friendly. And I just think that's really cool. They also have Angora rabbits, and that was really neat to see and to hear about that process, how they can, you know, in the grooming of them, also be able to recoup some of their hair and use that to make yarn. I don't know. It was just really, really cool. So I think you will enjoy that one. Come and watch it live with me. Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern time is when all of our yarn store tours and farms and fiber mills go live. Okay, what's coming up after that? Yes, winter magic kits. So that is this sock yarn. There's also a bag. There's also the beads come with it, and this cute little charm, which keeps flipping around. this cute little charm. Basically everything you need except for needles and hooks and the pattern come with it. The pattern is separate. It is going to be on my Ravelry, which will also be available October 11th, but there is no rush to get that, except that I am going to have it discounted through October 31st. So it will only be $3 through October 31st, and then it will go up to full price, which I usually have my sock patterns at $5, I think. 5 or 6, I can't remember, but it will be $3 through October 31st. So if you know you're going to want to make it, go ahead and grab it, and then it'll just be ready for you when we cast on for Sockmas, which is happening at the end of November. But the important thing is if you want to get the yarn, there are limited quantities of that. So make sure to set your alarm either for 3 p.m. Eastern time, I guess not either, but 3 p.m. Eastern time / noon Pacific time. That's when the kits are going to be going live. Those are going to be live over at Coven Collective. So I think it's Coven Collective FA. We'll put it on the screen. Let's put it on the screen. I'll kind of make a note for that. Put link on screen. That way, none of us forget to do that. So that's coming up. We're also going to be a couple of places, actually, ironically, also on Friday, October 11th. I am going to be at the Woolly Thistle, which is in West Lebanon, New Hampshire. We're going to be there from 12:30 to 2 o'clock, just having like a meet and greet / sit and make. So if you're in the area or nearby, come and join. We're just going to hang out and have a great time. The next meetup that I have scheduled is for Rhinebeck. So Rhinebeck meetup is going to be on Saturday, October 19th from 1 to 2 o'clock at the bottom of the hill. So on the paved part at the bottom of the hill, come and meet there. And then if you're a Love and Stitches member, we are having a meetup at 2 o'clock, and the details on that are in Discord. Last thing, I am going to be at Cleo's Yarn Shop in Brooklyn, New York on Friday, October 25th. From 5 to 8 p.m. This is their normal weekly happy hour that they have. Guys, this yarn shop looks so cool. I haven't been yet, but it's like a yarn shop / coffee place, cafe kind of thing. I don't know, it looks really cool. I'm excited to go. We're going to be filming a tour there that morning before they open. And then we'll be like hanging around, coming back for the happy hour that evening. So I'm really excited for that. But all of those things can also be found on nittynatty.com on our yarn store map page or something. I might be renaming that soon, but basically that. I don't have any new events this week. I think we're getting somewhat caught up on all the events that are coming out. But if you're looking for any events that are happening in October and beyond, make sure to check out the Yarny events segment of nittynatty.com. All right, I think that's everything for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.